Tonight, we turn our attention to Minneapolis, a city that has once again become the epicenter of a national conversation about justice, authority, and the power of protest. Here, protests have erupted in response to a sweeping federal immigration crackdown, Operation Metro Surge, sparking outrage and mobilizing communities across the city. Tensions have been simmering for weeks, fueled by a growing sense of frustration and anger over what many residents see as an increasingly aggressive federal presence in their neighborhoods. By day, families, activists, and community leaders march peacefully through the streets, holding signs and chanting for justice, demanding an immediate end to the operation and a return to normalcy. But as night falls, the atmosphere shifts. Confrontations between protesters and law enforcement escalate. Property damage, shattered windows, and tense standoffs with federal officers become more common, leaving the city on edge. The city's history of unrest, marked by recent and painful memories of past protests, continues to fuel a deep mistrust of authority and government intervention. The sight of federal agents in tactical gear patrolling city streets is a stark and painful reminder of previous struggles, reigniting old wounds for many residents. At the heart of the conflict is the controversial use of less lethal weapons like tear gas and pepper spray, which have become symbols of the heavy-handed tactics employed during these protests. Protesters and civil rights groups argue that these tactics not only harm peaceful demonstrators, but also violate their fundamental rights, intensifying calls for accountability and reform. Federal officials, however, insist that such tools are necessary to protect officers, government buildings, and the public from violent individuals who may seek to exploit the unrest. The debate over these methods has now become central to ongoing legal battles and heated public debate, with Minneapolis at the forefront of a national reckoning. The community's heightened sensitivity to policing and fears of government overreach shape every confrontation, making each encounter fraught with tension and uncertainty. Tonight the city stands divided, neighbors, friends, and families on opposite sides, each demanding that their voices, their pain, and their hopes for the future be heard. The Department of Homeland Security launched Operation Metro Surge, sending federal agents, including Border Patrol, into Minneapolis. This marked a rare and highly visible deployment of federal resources into a major American city, signaling the seriousness with which the government viewed the unrest. The arrival of these agents was met with both anticipation and anxiety, as residents wondered what their presence would mean for the city's already tense atmosphere. Their official mission: targeted immigration enforcement. Agents were tasked with identifying and detaining individuals suspected of violating immigration laws, a role that has traditionally kept them far from city centers like Minneapolis. But their presence quickly became a flashpoint for protest. Demonstrators saw the deployment as an escalation, fueling fears of federal overreach and sparking new waves of outrage. Border Patrol, usually stationed at borders, now finds itself on the front lines of urban crowd control. This shift in their role has raised questions about the appropriate use of federal power in local matters. As protests intensified, agents were tasked with protecting federal buildings, putting them in direct conflict with demonstrators. The scenes of standoffs and confrontations have become emblematic of the broader national debate. The federal government argues local law enforcement was unable to manage the unrest, justifying intervention. Officials claim that without federal support, chaos would have overwhelmed the city's resources. Local leaders, however, say the federal presence has only inflamed tensions. They argue that the arrival of outside agents has undermined trust and made it harder to restore peace. Operation Metro Surge is ongoing and even ramping up, suggesting the conflict is far from over. Nightly patrols and continued operations have become a new normal for Minneapolis. For residents, this means continued confrontations and a prolonged struggle over federal power in American cities. Many feel caught in the middle, uncertain about what the future holds. The deployment of specialized units marks a significant shift in how the government addresses domestic dissent. New tactics and equipment are being tested on city streets, changing the landscape of protest response. The city's streets have become a battleground for competing visions of law, order, and civil rights. Each night brings new confrontations and new questions about the limits of authority. The outcome here could set a precedent for future federal interventions nationwide, shaping how America responds to unrest for years to come. Commander Greg Bovino, who leads Border Patrol operations in Minneapolis, stands resolute in his position. He makes it clear that tear gas and other less lethal munitions will remain part of the agency's toolkit for crowd control and protest management. According to Bovino, these tools are not intended to inflict harm, but are considered essential for maintaining order and ensuring the safety of everyone involved, including officers, bystanders, and even the protesters themselves. He draws a clear distinction between peaceful demonstrators and those who incite violence, emphasizing that tear gas is only deployed when situations spiral out of control and public safety is at risk. Bovino frames these tactics as a measured, calculated response, a way to de-escalate dangerous confrontations without resorting to deadly force or firearms, which could have far more tragic consequences. In his view, less lethal options like tear gas can save lives, restore order quickly, and prevent chaos from spreading further through the city. Yet, this official stance underscores a deep divide. While protesters often see tear gas as an attack on their rights and a tool of suppression, law enforcement insists it is necessary for protecting the broader public. Bovino maintains that his officers are strictly following established protocols, responding to violence with what they believe is reasonable and proportionate force, always aiming to minimize harm. The ongoing debate over the use of tear gas has become a powerful symbol of the broader conflict between government authority and the protection of civil liberties in America. Ultimately, the city's response to these controversial tactics will play a crucial role in shaping the future of protest policing and the relationship between law enforcement and the communities they serve. As tensions rose, the ACLU of Minnesota filed a lawsuit on behalf of activists, alleging excessive force by federal officers. The case landed before U.S. District Judge Kate Menendez, who weighed public order against constitutional rights. Her ruling strict new limits on federal officers in Minneapolis. The order bars the use of tear gas, pepper spray, and chemical agents against peaceful protesters. These weapons are now restricted to situations with a clear threat of violence. The ruling also prohibits detaining protesters, journalists, or observers without probable cause. This addresses concerns about arrests chilling free speech and intimidating participants. The court's decision aims to restore balance, allowing law enforcement to do its job while safeguarding civil liberties. For protesters, it's a crucial protection. For federal agents, a new set of boundaries. The legal battle has become a defining moment in the city's struggle over rights and authority. Judge Menendez's order sets clear guidelines. Federal agents cannot use tear gas or pepper spray on peaceful protesters, journalists, or legal observers. The ruling protects those exercising their First Amendment rights and ensures transparency by safeguarding the press and legal monitors. Arrests and detentions now require probable cause, no more sweeping detentions for simply being present. The order also bans retaliation agents cannot use force or arrests to punish speech or observation. These rules reinforce constitutional limits on federal power, even during unrest. The message is clear. Authority is not unlimited, and civil liberties must be respected. The court's intervention is a reminder that the law stands above the chaos. Minneapolis becomes a test case for protest rights in America. The protests reached a boiling point after the fatal shooting of Renee, a Minneapolis resident, during an ICE enforcement action. Her death, still under investigation, became a rallying cry, her name and image now symbols of the movement. For many, Renee was not just a headline, but a neighbor and friend, making the conflict deeply personal. The incident intensified mistrust and confirmed fears about the dangers of aggressive federal tactics. Protesters demand justice for Renee, seeing her death as the tragic result of Operation Metro Surge. The shooting transformed the debate from policy to a matter of life and death. Every clash, every legal argument, now carries the weight of her loss. The city's pain and anger are inseparable from the demand for accountability. The court's decision was met with relief by city leaders and legal advocates. Minneapolis officials applauded the ruling, seeing it as a step toward de-escalation and public safety. Attorney General Keith Ellison called it a win for constitutional rights, emphasizing the importance of peaceful protest and government accountability. The ACLU of Minnesota hailed the order as a major civil rights victory, affirming their arguments against disproportionate federal force. For activists, the ruling is a powerful message. Free speech and assembly endure, even in times of unrest. Local leaders believe the federal response has been heavy-handed and counterproductive. The court's intervention is seen as a necessary correction, not an end to the conflict. They hope new rules will reduce violence and open space for dialogue. The city's united voice calls for community-focused solutions over federal force. The struggle for justice and restraint continues. The federal government sees things differently. DHS officials defend their actions, arguing their duty is to uphold the law and protect federal property. They claim protests have included violence, rioters attacking officers, setting fires and using vehicles as weapons. Tear gas and less lethal munitions, they say, are necessary defensive measures. The administration believes local officials failed to maintain order, forcing federal intervention. President Trump has even considered invoking the Insurrection Act, underscoring the seriousness of the unrest. For DHS, securing federal assets is the priority, and their tactics are justified. This stance puts them at odds with city leaders and protesters, deepening the divide over the role of federal power. Minneapolis is now the stage for a fundamental American debate: how to balance safety and liberty. Law enforcement must protect property and public safety, but also respect the right to protest. The challenge: addressing violence without infringing on peaceful assembly. Tear gas sits at the center of this dilemma, seen by police as a life-saving tool, by protesters as an indiscriminate weapon. Its use can turn peaceful protests into chaos, punishing many for the actions of a few. The court's ruling redraws the lines, aiming to protect protest while allowing response to real threats. The story is far from over, but the questions it raises matter to us all. How do we protect both safety and liberty? And how do we ensure that in seeking order we don't silence the voices our democracy was built to protect? Minneapolis's struggle is a test for the nation's values.